Oh geez, oh God, no, I'm stuck. I have nowhere to go, and my enemy knows exactly where I'm at. Okay, I know two things. I got no shots left in my trusty sidearm, and it's 10 yards to freedom. 10 yards. Might as well be 10 miles. My enemy's a complete crack shot. All right, think, Chris, think. I guess it boils down to a simple choice. Make a break for it, or just sit here and die. All right, gotta go for it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go! That is a brief look into the imaginary world that I was invited into every day with Jay as his primary nurse for the better part of a year. Jay was a little boy suffering from a syndrome that basically left his guts all messed up and dying. Because of this, he underwent dozens of surgical procedures to try and fix it, but unfortunately none of them were able to. And they actually just left his intestinal tract into a complex maze. This maze created multiple stomas out of his abdomen that would constantly leak bowel contents onto his skin, which then needed complex wound dressings that would always need to be changed, well, because they were always saturated. His condition also had the added bonus of spilling bowel contents internally into his blood, which would create infections and long ICU stays and on antibiotics and on a ventilator with a breathing tube. I paint this picture of hardship and complexity for really only one reason. Jay didn't give a shit about any of that. The boy had spent 80% of his life in a hospital bed, but he was still just a kid who wanted to be a kid doing kid stuff. And that mentality had a profound impact on me. You see, as a nurse, I tend to get caught up in, let's call it, nursing logistics. Vital signs every hour, assessments every 2 hours, intake and output trends every 4 hours. How many medications do I have and when do they do? How many labs do I have to draw? What are my lab values trending as? Do I have vascular access? Do they have line changes, dressing changes, cap changes due? When can my patient get a bath? When can they get out of bed? Do I have everything documented and charted? Oh God, I have to pee, but I don't have time to pee because I'm the doctor, they're ready to the round, but I'm not ready! That's just the expected stuff. Never mind all the unexpected stuff that would happen and throw a wrench into my very well-planned day. But if I'm being completely honest, all that stuff is totally necessary. It's necessary for the patient, it's necessary for a nurse's development. It was definitely necessary for my own development, just to make sure I was going to be safe and not hurt anybody. Necessary, but ultimately incomplete. See, Jay's mentality reminded me of something extremely important, something that I had been missing. That patient care was more than just administering medications, monitoring vital signs, trending labs, or managing complex medical equipment. It was as much, if not more so, about connecting here and here. He reminded me that by doing that, I could possibly help him forget that he was in pain. I could possibly help him forget that he was stuck in this hospital bed. I could possibly help him forget that he was dying. All I had to do was be willing to make the effort to engage with him right now, in the moment, on his terms. So that's what I did. When I came to work, I came ready to accept the invitation into his imaginary world. And it's a good thing I did too, because he was ready to play. When we weren't spending time managing his condition, we'd spend our days playing prisoner enemy, which you all caught a glimpse of with my Oscar-winning performance earlier. We draw massive bullseyes on the glass ICU doors for target practice with our Nerf guns. We'd play PlayStation. We'd watch 1990s Power Ranger shows on Netflix. Well, because 90s Power Rangers was the best Power Ranger show, obviously. And we'd watch reruns of Reds games because this kid was the biggest Reds fan on the planet. He'd actually take bets with Monopoly money from anybody that walked in the room on one condition. You had to bet on the Reds to win. And if you didn't, your Monopoly money was no good here, so just get the hell out. And this became life with my little buddy. We'd have our days together, and he'd get well enough to transfer to the acute care unit, and then he'd get well enough to discharge home. That was always for a short bit, because something else would end up happening, and he'd end up back in the ICU, and we'd pick up right where we left off. This became his cycle. That cycle would eventually break, though, one day when I received a call from his mom that I always feared. His body just could not keep up with all of these issues and problems. He was strong, but we all have limits, and his body was just running out of reserve. Something else happened, and this time he was just straight admitted to the acute care unit. And wasn't going to shake this one off. He was put on comfort care and didn't have a lot of time left. He was nearing the end. Oh man, I raced over there as fast as I could get there to hopefully say goodbye for the last time. But I was too slow. I was too late. By the time I'd gotten there, he had already moved on, and I had missed my chance. He was gone, but his legacy lives on. Our time together was defined by letting go of all things on the outside, by connecting in the moment, by being present in the moment. Because that moment was all that mattered. It had become so much more than nursing care for me. It was much bigger than that now. Call it luck, call it fate, call it whatever you want to call it. But I'm not the same person I am today without having known Jay. Being a part of his life and the way that he lived it not only made me a better nurse, but it also made me a better husband and a better father, just a better man. Yeah, I physically had missed my chance to say goodbye to him, but I was given the honor to do something that I never thought that I'd do in my life. I said a eulogy at a little boy's funeral. I remember walking up to the front of that funeral home room completely full of his friends and family. I looked at his casket. It was totally decked out in Reds gear. He was so beautiful. And I noticed the tiniest little smirk on his face. And immediately thought of the one front tooth that he always had missing. That one missing front tooth that left a gaping hole and home for all the breathing tubes that had lived there over the years. And something occurred to me that never had occurred to me before. that tooth wasn't missing for or because of those breathing tubes. No. That tooth was missing so that no matter what, he would always have the ability to show us his smile. That wonderful, playful, just infectious smile that always kept me grounded, living right in the moment. Thank you.